It's the 14th of October, 2024. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. In Iraq, the recent appearance of sulfur clouds at night over the city of Baghdad were coming from a secret underground mining operation prompted by both the U.S. and the BRICS organization. Oddly enough, they both were promised the same thing. And the deep state did an analysis on our office's chance of success. Turns out our odds were 99.8%. Their current overlords, 0. And Nathan Rothschild panics as trillions of dollars in Dragon family funds just disappeared. He wants to know who stole their money. Well, we are going to tell you. It's the 11th of October, 2024, and this is the Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report, where you get the real story behind world events and real history, all from the highest security clearance in the world. Been an interesting weekend, folks. There's never a dull moment in the world of the Global Intelligence Agency, so let's hop to it. Okay, so in Iraq, it appears that the Prime Minister of Iraq and some other officials from Iran both agreed to this underground mining operation, which was to revive some old tunnels, essentially, under Iraq. For those of you that have been around in the, let's just say, alternative media world, you probably have seen videos of U.S. soldiers holding bricks of gold and all kinds of things. Well, yeah, it definitely happened for quite a long time. In this particular case, though, this was really interesting, so I thought I would let you know what's happening now. So apparently this started around a week ago. It hasn't been very long, and we thought that the sulfur was coming from some other esoteric space junk that was in the area. And in part, I guess you could say it was. But the clouds quickly changed. So they were no longer these red sulfur clouds that were over the city. They were more of kind of like a grayish color. And they only appeared at night. So we had to try to figure out where it was coming from. So we figured out that they had revived a few of these tunnels. Now, originally there was 14. 2 of them actually, the entryway was only in Iran, Iraq's neighbor, and most of the other ones were accessible some point, like on the border between Saudi Arabia and Iraq, and then there was another one on the border of Iraq and Iran. So those particular places were heavily guarded by people for what looked like for no apparent reason. That's when we kind of discovered the underground mining had begun again. So these emissions would come every single night, sometime around between 10 and midnight, and the air was pretty horrible. It was completely unsafe for the citizens. They told everybody to stay inside. We even have footage here, as you've seen, from that was taken from the U.S. Embassy there in Iraq. Some of it was also taken by some contacts we have there on the ground. So it was pretty horrific when you take a look at it. So we figured out where it was coming from and how it came to be. For those of you that don't know, the original mining of the underground in Iraq began approximately in 1974. The U.S. government had nuclear-powered boring machines bored the tunnels for the underground mining, and it's very similar to what I have seen here locally in not too far from Durango, which actually went all the way from Dulce military base all the way to Silverton, Colorado. And a lot of the mining was done underground, as the Black Sun used to like to do, and it was, of course, on behalf of their alien overlords. So they had donated an awful lot of gold to an awful lot of people, and were even stockpiling it at one point. Underneath here, however, that stockpile disappeared in 2019, and the Iraq stockpiles disappeared not that long ago. Let's just say might have been within the last couple of days. They were desperately trying to get to these stockpiles, and they were using this really caustic method of mining gold and other minerals, which contained highly acidic sulfur. It's not just sulfur, it's a number of other chemicals, which is supposed to extract the the gold and other minerals from underground. So interestingly enough, though, we've waited till last night to try to see who was actually going to come and why this was going, who was involved. So in one tunnel, in tunnel number 1, we actually had the Chinese. The Chinese love to use their prisoners to do things like mining and build airports and all kinds of stuff around the world because the labor is absolutely free. The places and the things that they, let's just say not things, I would say the places and the exposure and the inhumane conditions in which these Chinese prisoners are forced to work are worse than anything I've ever seen in any other country. And this is no exception here. So around 10:30, this group of Chinese folks starts showing up for work, and they were prisoners. And of course, the prison guards and all this kind of stuff were ushering them into tunnel number 1. Let's call it tunnel number 1. So apparently, behind the scenes, the Iraqis and the Iranians, because for some reason, the Iranians still feel like they own everything in Iraq. That it all belongs to them. That's probably because Iran is actually where the Order of the Green Dragon is located. And of course, they feel like they own everything in the region, which is absolutely false. That ship sailed a long time ago. But they are the ones together that made the deal with the Chinese to basically mine the gold for free, essentially, and to pay them personally in their own pockets somewhere between, depending on who you were, 10 to 25%, which the Chinese pretty much are never going to pay you anyway, because that's how the Chinese deep state works. The Lee family is well known for not paying people for doing a job, doesn't matter who you are, and all those elders have been driving people all around the world crazy for years. So I didn't think that they were actually going to get paid. Tunnel number 2, in group number 2, guess who? The global headquarters in the U.S. military in cooperation with the Order of the Black Sun. They were too promised the same thing, that they would be able to extract this gold and that they would have full rights to do, to extract gold from all the tunnels. But you need to start over here because we don't want to tell you what we already promised. And it's kind of like a situation of he who wins first, he who mines first wins, I guess. I'm not sure. Turns out that over the last several days, they were unable to mine anything, basically due to the fact that they were gassing each other out. How interesting is that? Is that karma for you or what? Well, as of the time of this report, both sides actually already know that they were duped by the other side and which officials are responsible for that. So whether you were doing business with the Iranians and you happen to be from China, or you were doing business with the Americans and you happen to be from Iraq, either way, do you guys even have an intelligence agency anymore? I mean, I have to know, because the information wasn't that hard for us to find. Once we knew what we were looking for, it really wasn't that difficult. We just ran the operation to see who showed up last night. As of today, there are no more tunnels, so you can both turn your soldiers and your prisoners home, and nothing is going to come of it. So there's that operation, another failure for the deep state. God bless you all for trying to steal gold from another country. As for you Americans, there is plenty of gold in the United States. As a matter of fact, you have one of 7 super sites in the entire world in this country. Why are you stealing gold from Iraq? And what in God's name led you to believe that we haven't already leveraged that gold? That's right, folks. By 1992, pretty much every single iota of gold in the Middle East was already leveraged to the financial system, which we are still using to this day. Not your financial system. Now it's ours. So That gold has been leveraged and it's generating dinar against that gold and US dollars on behalf of the Iraqi people. If you're talking about Iraq, Iran, we already got all that gold and oil and everything else you already pledged to us. Don't forget who you are, Green Dragon people. We have all the records. Okay, now on to story number 2, which is kind of a yawner, not gonna lie. The global headquarters, SSP operatives, and some higher-ranking military generals continued their meetings over the weekend. The only thing that I found rather interesting and worth mentioning is they did run on their little analytics. If you don't know, most militaries around the world, they have these analytic softwares that will analyze their probability of success on any particular operation or war or theater maneuver or whatever. So they decided to run some different probabilities this time. And one of the probabilities they ran was, what is my and my team, meaning I guess you would say all of you and all of the people involved with CARE, what is our success rate without them? Okay, without them, we rang in at a 99.8%, and that number has grown since they ran the report on Saturday. And it has grown because the more we take out, the more they have that we find and we take out. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. The higher our success is. Okay, now their success with us, meaning would they be successful if they decided to work with us in a different way, quite obviously. Their success with us was 100%. Those are pretty good odds, wouldn't you say? And they're still talking about it, even as of the time of this recording. So God bless these people. Their success without us, which is also something they contemplated, that means that they would try to run the entire planet without us and without the Black nobility and without the Rothschild family, aka the Dragon families. Their success without us at the time of the report was just under 8%. Well, those odds kind of went down just a little bit, don't you think? I mean, you would say 100%, 8%, 100%, 8%. And you would say, wow, it's a lot lower. Not these people, though. They still have lots more to contemplate. So as of now, those odds are down to about 3.98%. I don't know if they've continued to run reports or not, but I figured I would run the same analytics using the same data that they were using just to see, how those numbers have changed. And I probably will continue to do that until theirs is down to 0. Okay, their success with the Order of the Dragon. That's your Rothschild families, your Lee families in China, the Russian families, Iranian families, and so on and so forth, came back at 0. Not surprised there. If they decided to partner up with just the Black nobility and not the Dragon family, their results would be, 0. But that didn't stop them from trying several operations against us over the last few days. Lucky for us, we actually managed to find several different facilities in which they were still, well, let's just say, not several. There were a couple of those facilities that we talked about that were outside the hologram, which they were trying desperately to get access to. So the first one they tried to get access to was under the Palace of Versailles. They stood there with their crystals going, waiting for something to happen to see if they could break through the hologram and get access to that room that was underneath there. No dice. So the Black nobility was 0 for 1 at this point. Now, I have conflicting information at this moment in time, but I'm going to say they were all involved, the Black nobility and global headquarters and the SSP and the people within those groups that do not want to give up, never give up. So as of today, we had found a similar facility, which was actually within the hologram under Danbury, Connecticut's Germantown. Now, for those of you that have never heard of Germantown in Danbury, Connecticut, it was actually named because a lot of German immigrants came to that town and settled there. It wouldn't shock you that some of those Germans just happened to be Nazi scientists, would it? No. It wouldn't shock you that it was one of the locations that they took all of the Project Paperclip scientists to. No, it wouldn't. And therefore, birthed in this location with the help of alien partners, because remember, they don't create this stuff on their own, birthed one of these rooms within the hologram. And like I said, they kind of sit there and do this, and it looks like a joystick of some sort, or if you've ever been in a facility where they control drones, it's kind of like that. And they just sit there like this, and they pull up this hologram of the person that's their target, or the place that's their target, just like you do with a drone. And they have a holographic version of me now, up in that screen, me and others, I should say, or my house or something like that, or wherever I am, my car. And then they start sending really negative frequencies and all kinds of things from this hologram because I'm their target. So it was a fun and exciting day. Location number 2 was actually, and this isn't going to surprise you Australians, it was actually in Pine Gap. Wow, what a surprise. So all of these rooms, at least the ones that we have found, I have a few more. I have a feeling that I'm going to need to go find as soon as I'm done with this report. But anyway, are remnants of what we call a black magic AI. It's like you just take your target, you do the holographic voodoo doll, and you keep poking and sending frequencies and, that make your head spin. So, for me, I'm so used to this stuff now because they do this, or used to do it a lot. Now they're kind of limited with what they can do. And so, I just kind of keep it moving. I shield up, I, attack it back, and then I pull the string and I find out where this is located so that I can actually destroy it and everyone in it. So that's what we're going to do when we're done with this report. So I have another funny story for you, which, if you've been following me for a while, you're going to find this one extremely funny and kind of ironic, really. Okay, so we've talked in the past about what's called the ANNA system, or the Association of Numerical Numbering Agency in Belgium. For those of you that don't understand what this place does, and this is, you can find the information on the internet, it will tell you that they're responsible for numbering all bonds, stocks and that kind of, securities and those types of things. So that's its primary function. And not only did it number those bonds in the past, not a current thing, but it also numbered all of your birth certificate bonds, and all of your corporations receive a number, which then get registered there. So if you think you're self-employed and it gives you freedom, well, kind of not really, because you still have to pay corporate taxes and all those other things. So this is kind of a collection method for all things with numbers around the world. So if you think about how many things in your life involve numbers, you have social security numbers in some countries, you also have tax identification numbers, driver's license numbers, and all those things would go into this big, huge magic machine that some people refer to as the beast. And then that machine would then transfer all those bonds into the alpha system in the past, and then the allocation numbers would come out for those particular things. So whether that was to provide you with free education, if you have free public education where you're at, free healthcare, if you're under NHS, say in Canada or in UK or in South Africa. So that's what these were designed to do. Now, there's a certain interest rate on those bonds that is required. We call that tax. So taxes are then collected through its sister system, or little sister, called the XN system. And the XN system connected in the past to every single tax authority in the world. Now, almost every single country in the world that actually collects taxes has a stipend, or a fee, of about 80% that goes directly to the Order of the Dragon families. Now, we found something very interesting, though. the system that was utilized for the collection of all these lovely taxes coming from the IRS to any other tax authority in any other country, it doesn't matter where you are, all those taxes were going into a separate system that was meant for the 80% only. Now, this must have been really painful for the Rothschild family and some other people. Oh, and it has been, because although they could see all these numbers on the screen, they could also see that those funds were being traded and traded and traded and traded, and the numbers were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All they could really do was lick the screen. And there were several screens worth licking, some in Iran, some in the UK, number of different places around the world. I'll tell you, I'll list all those for you in just a second. I wrote all those down so I didn't forget. So this was your Rothschild's tax collection system. Now, in order to try to get access to these taxes and spend some of this money to kind of keep their downline, I guess you would say, rolling, they had gone to, it's called Waterson Manor, is what it's called in the UK. This is Nathan Rothschild, and tried to, true to form, go and declare war against me. You know, and I'm such a nice person. I don't know why they would do that. But they tried to declare war against me through this system in hopes that the tax money would come out so that they could pay for said war. Well, that didn't really work out, but it did give us a line directly to find the rest of this matrix in this system. So this happened on, I think it was Saturday morning or Sunday morning. But anyway, it was hilarious, really. So we also found the rest of the places they would access this lovely system. One in China, no surprise there. One in Russia, in St. Petersburg, no surprise there. Another one in Iran, Germany, and there was also one in Chicago for the American section of the alleged dragon families. Now, the only thing that they did do was get a little shady with these off-ledger funds, because a lot of them were tied to Rothschild Bank in Switzerland and a few other select banks who would then issue the Rothschilds credit lines against them. Now, did they share those credit lines with all of these global headquarters people, SSP people that they owe money to? Of course not. See, these people think very highly of themselves, you know, these security black sun people. They think that those people care whether you live or die. No. And without access to hundreds of trillions of dollars, which they're willing to part with a small little stipend directly to you, or you, U.S. military, or anywhere else, or how about the IDF in Israel, who was also promised a lot of money? Did you get anything from the Rothschilds and those credit lines that they issued? I'll bet you did not. No, you didn't. Anyway, the rest of the facilities were located in Kenya, China, St. Petersburg, Russia, Myanmar, Chicago, Germany, Iran, Netherlands, and Scotland. And it was so lovely to watch Mr. Nathan Rothschild have a little bit of a hissy fit, let's call it. I don't know what you call it there in UK. There's probably throw the toys out of the pram all day after it disappeared. He wanted to know, he called everybody he knew wanting to know who stole his money. Well, let me tell you, it was me. Don't declare war against me. You will lose every time. But anyway, it wasn't real money. I mean, no longer. Once they take it out of the actual financial system, put it in these fake other backdoor systems, it's not real anymore. It's all hyped up fake numbers with no allocations, and they still would have needed, that's right, folks, me to get it in the system. So don't declare war against me, you crazy old beep. It's not going to help you any. Funny enough, we did get a call from one of the people that's been in these other meetings going on with the Black Sun at the time, because they were also called. And we asked, why did the Rothschild family declare war against me again for like the 10th or 15th time? And they said, oh, it's not about her. It's about the fact that a bunch of money went missing from their Swiss bank, and they want to know who stole it. Well, I'm here to say loud and proud, that person was me. And I'm not looking back either. So it's gone. It was part of an old Omega line, and it's just not there anymore. So good luck finding that money, Nathan Rothschild and global headquarters and whoever else is looking for it. And good luck in keeping the Rothschild Bank afloat. Matter of fact, in Switzerland, because you're going to need it. On that note, thank you so much for joining us for the Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day on Monday or Tuesday, if that's what it is where you are. And I will see you on Wednesday.